Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Beginning a new chapter, chapter 18. Maitreya Uvacha. Tadeva Makarnya Jalesha Bhashitam. Mahamanastad Vigarnaya Durmadaha. Harir Viditva Gatimanga Naradad. Rasatalam Nirvivishet Tvaranvitaha. Tadeva Makarnya Jalesha Bhashitam. Mahamanastad Vigarnaya Durmadaha. Harir Viditva Gatimanga Naradad. Rasatalam Nirvivishet Tvaranvitaha. Tadevam Akarnya Jalesha Bhashitam. Mahamanastad Vigarnaya Durmadaha. Harir Viditva Gatimanga Naradad. Rasatalam Nirvivishet Tvaranvitaha.
Daiva Makarnya Jalesha Bhashitam. Mahamanastad Vigarnaya Durmadaha. Harir Viditva Gatimanga Naradad. Rasatalam Nirvivishet Tvaranvitaha.
Rasatalam Nirvivishet Tvaranvitaha. Tadeva Makarnya Jalesha Bhashitam. Maitreya, the great sage Maitreya, Uvacha, said, Tat, that, Evam, thus, Akarnya, hearing, Jala Isha, of the controller of water, Varuna, Bhashitam, words, Mahamana, proud, Tat, those words, Vigarnaya, having paid little heed to, Durmadaha. There's a typo on my pocket Vedas. What does the book say, or what does? Durmadaha? What's the translation that you have?
Vainglorious.
Vainglorious. Oh, just one word.
Yeah, one word.
Oh, vainglorious. Great. Vainglorious. There's no typo here. I thought maybe there was a comma. Vain and somehow glorious in his vanity. Vainglorious. Harehi. Of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Viditva. Having learned. Gatim. The whereabouts. Anga. O dear Vidura. Naradat. from Narada,
from Narada,
Rasatalam,
Rashatalam,
to the depths of the ocean,
to the depths of the ocean,
Nirvivishe,
Nirvishena,
entered,
entered,
Tvara Anvitaha,
Tavati Vataha,
with great speed.
with great speed.
Wow. I'm amazed I haven't seen that word before. Or if I have, it didn't register. Excessively proud of oneself or one's achievements, overly vain. Exactly as the word sounds, vainglorious. That's fantastic. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Maitreya continued, the proud and falsely glorious Daitya paid little heed to the words of Varuna. O dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. Materialistic warmongers are not even afraid to fight with their mightiest enemy, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demon was very encouraged to learn from Varuna that there was one fighter who could actually combat him, and he was very enthusiastic to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to give him a fight, even though it was predicted by Varuna that by fighting with Vishnu, he would become prey for dogs, jackals, and vultures. Since demoniac persons are less intelligent, they dare to fight with Vishnu, who is known as Ajita, or one who has never been conquered. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalake Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Partaya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishna Parivartita No, Shri Krishnaya Namostame Madeka Bandho Mad Sangin Mad Guru Mad Mahadhana Mad Nistaraka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute Sadhu Sadhu Te Dain Ati Nichochatakara Hana Muncha Kadachan Mam Prema Hrit Kantayo Spura. The glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. If we keep chanting it, we'll learn it. Maitreya Uvacha Tadeva Makarnya Jalesha Bhashitam Mahamanas Tad Vigarnaya Durmadaha Harer Viditvagati Manga Naradad Rasatalam Nirvivisheta Tvaranvitaha. Maitreya continued, the proud and falsely glorious Daitya paid little heed to the words of Varuna. O dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. There's only so many times we can go over the 16th chapter of Gita, or actually we could do it every day. There's no harm in that. It's nice to continue studying the Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhagya Yoga, this difference between Daiva and Asura. Daiva means godly, and Asura literally means not godly. It's kind of, when you throw a in front of a word, it negates it. So it's, Daitya is the positive form of the negative, sons of Diti, but Asura, not godly. Daivasura Sampad Vibhagya Yoga. This is the vibhag, the difference between godly and not godly, described in the 16th chapter of Gita. And so we've mentioned many times this nature of being proud, thinking oneself self-sufficient, material nature has everything I need. There's no need to surrender to someone greater. I am God. I am happy. And so he didn't take Varuna's words as being very important. I think we already read in the last chapter, it was there, right? He's paying obeisances to Varuna. Oh, my dear Varuna, please tell me where I can, please fight with me. Ashram Maharaj pointed out a couple mornings ago that sadhu ninda, one of the definitions he found for ninda was to ridicule. It can be so sort of subtle. Like there was a devotee walking by, I believe Rupa Goswami, and in Rupa Goswami's meditation he was deeply absorbed in pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and something funny happened and all the gopis laughed. And Rupa Goswami also laughed, but it happened to be right as a sadhu was approaching him for his sangha. And the sadhu had a little bit of a limp. And as the sadhu walked up, he was walking in a sort of funny way. And Rupa Goswami laughed. And of course the sadhu, he put one and one together and said, oh, I'm being ridiculed. And he left. And this offense immediately snapped Rupa Goswami out of his meditation. It was an instant sort of, something happened. I've done something wrong. And so he was given advice, if you want to find out who it was, make a big feast arrangement. And whoever doesn't come, they're the one who is feeling offended. And so eventually the problem was resolved. But it's such a simple thing. Relationships are so important, and our ability to be tactful in communication, in behaving properly, sadachar, good behavior. Otherwise we become surapati durmati vinasha vichari. Vichar. The opposite is to harm Krishna. Surapati, the demigod Indra, he came down with durmati, with, is that the same word? Durmada. Durmada. He came down with his own vainglorious attempt to destroy Vrindavan with heavy rain. And Krishna lifted Govardhan hill to protect his devotees. So we shouldn't have the same vichari activity, sadachar. We should have achar. We should have proper activity, proper relationships with the Vaishnavas, not to ridicule. So Hiranyaksha's presentation, oh my master, ridiculing Varuna, saying, I could come and step on your head and you couldn't do anything about it, but oh, I'm gonna, pay obeisances and smile at you. Make you seem ridiculous. Krishna says in the 10th chapter of Gita, among munis I am Bhrigu, which is very interesting because Bhrigu was also on an interesting mission once. We see on Jagannath there's a little footprint. You've all seen that? Jagannath's shoulder, upper chest. Usually. I don't know if I've seen it on our deity, but in Puri, whenever you see the little deities, there's always like a footprint from when Bhrigu Muni went to test. Yeah, everyone, we have a couple instances in Srimad Bhagawatam where it was unclear to devotees who is supreme. Whom should I worship for absolute benefit? Atri Muni, he's calling out, whoever is supreme, and all three deities came down. He says, which of the three of you have I called? So Bhrigu Muni also wanted to establish this for all of the sages, for all the demigods. Who is supreme? He approached Shiva, and Shiva ran forward, and he said, "You're covered in ashes, you're dirty, I don't want to embrace you, please." And Shiva became so angry. He said, "Okay, this isn't the Supreme Personality." He approached Lord Brahma, and now, actually Brahma was first, because it said that offenses can be created in different levels. Mental offenses are sort of the lowest offense. And so for Lord Brahma, he didn't pay obeisances, he didn't show any respects, and Brahma became angry. With Shiva, the next level, verbal offense, he directly criticized Shiva, Shiva became angry. And then the most heavy offense is physical aggression. This is the intention of Hiranyaksha, to be so offensive in his physical aggression against the Supreme Lord. And so Bhrigu Muni directly walked up and kicked Vishnu in the chest. And Vishnu said, "Oh, my dear sage, your soft foot must be hurt against my diamond-like chest, my rock-hard chest. Please let me massage your feet." Bhrigu Muni, "Oh, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Vishnu is supreme. And so we have Hiranyaksha here. He's also looking to kick Vishnu in the chest, but his mission has a slightly different tinge to it. This is unfavorable devotional service. Of course, Bhishma Dev had an interesting relationship with Krishna. He also wanted to see Krishna's face dusty with the dust from the chariot wheels tinged with blood from the arrows. He also found that vision of Krishna to be very beautiful. But it's a mood of devotional service. He wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead with his fighting. Hiranyaksha's mission was simply to destroy the personality of Godhead, to establish himself as supreme. Sadhu ninda, to ridicule. There's a nice verse in Nectar of Instruction. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeti. One who has taken Krishna's name, who's chanting, one should at the very least offer mental respects to such a devotee. Dikshasti chet pranati bhisha bhajantamish. And someone who's taken diksha in the line of disciplic succession, one who's formally attached himself to the process. Pranati bhis. One should offer obeisances to that devotee. Then, Shushushaya bhajana vigyam ananya manya nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabhya. One should very attentively serve and hear from that great exalted devotee, Ninda Adi Shunya, whose heart has zero, Shunya, tendency for Ninda, and so on. For any offensive activity, for any slight ridicule, for any interest to somehow put down the devotional service of the Lord, to criticize the devotees of the Lord, or for that matter to unnecessarily criticize anyone. Even if someone is not yet a Vaishnava. That was the mistake of Dhruva's stepmother, is that she criticized him, she chastised him and was cruel to him, really, before he was even a Vaishnava. And yet, having become a Vaishnava, her offenses caught up with her, and her own son was killed. So, why criticize anyone? One's heart should be free from that tendency in general. Nindadi shunya, hridam, in the heart. Ipsita, one should desire sangalabhya, to obtain that sangha. That sangha will benefit us. The association of materialistic persons, unfavorable, jana sangas, This will destroy our bhakti. So many examples of, most notably to mind is the Bhaumasur is described. He is the son of Krishna, Varahadev, in contact with Mother Bhumi, and we have Bhaumasur. Yeah, such an opportunity, what a parentage. My father's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and yet he hangs out with Jarasandha, some bad association, and takes to it. So, Janasangas, leave aside such association, and Sangha Ipsita Sangha Labdhya, find a way to Shushushaya Bhajana Vigyamananya Manya, Nindadi Shanya Hridam Ipsita Sangha Labdhya, find a way to attach oneself. This is yoga. This is real spiritual progress, spiritual practice. Yoga means to connect. We have the experience perhaps that trying to think how to word it. Well, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu there's a nice verse about what is proper yoga, what is proper linking. And that's anasaktasya vishyan yatarham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya uchyate. Yukta vairagya. You've all heard this term? No?
Use everything in Krishna service.
What's that?
Yukta Vairagya, using everything in Krishna service.
Using everything in Krishna service. Yukta vairagya. Vairagya means renunciation. So if you're renounced, how can you use it in Krishna service? If I renounce this book, this is paper, this is ink. I renounce paper and ink. You know, I don't read Lord of the Rings and these different books. But when I recognize its connection with Krishna, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, this particular paper and ink is connected with Krishna. That means Yukta Vairagya. That means I'm renounced, Vairagya, but Yukta. I engage with material energy when it's connected with Krishna, because it's no longer material energy. It's been spiritualized. Whereas the opposite is described after that verse, prapanchikataya buddhiha. That one who sees everything as simply to be renounced, prityago, then it's palgu vairagya katyate. Palgu vairagya means that externally they've renounced everything. There's a Palgu river in India, it's a dry riverbed. But if you poke your finger just a little bit below the sand, you find water. So I've renounced everything. But if you just look a little bit past the surface, oh, so many attachments. So much material desires, so much turbulence within the heart. That heart isn't nindadi shunya. That heart still has the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. And we see so many examples of great rishis, powerful sadhus, who are engaged in heavy austerity until they hear Menaka's tinkling ankle bells. Enjoy. Because simply renouncing everything is dry. It just leads to frustration. Or even if you obtain your goal, you finally merge with the Supreme Lord, if that's the end desire, then again, you have to come down, because everyone wants association. Everyone wants to relate with others. But how we relate with others defines our destination. Hiranyaksha is here relating with others in a ridiculing mentality. And so Narada shows up. Narada is the ultimate instigator. We see Narada likes to speed things up. He likes to tell Kamsa things that might make him a little bit angry, might make him want to imprison his sister and brother-in-law. Speed up the pastimes. So here Narada Muni just shows up out of nowhere, which is what he does. we do the Vrikasur play at home a lot lately. Maruti really enjoys this Vrikasur pastime. Narada Muni shows up and lets him know, hey, you can worship Shiva. He'll hook you up with some nice benedictions. And so here Narada Muni is showing up out of nowhere. And he's letting Hiranyaksha know the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Garbhodaka ocean. Deep within the Garbhodaka ocean. That's where you can find the Supreme Lord. And so Hiranyaksha hurriedly, Tvara Anvitaha, Nirvishesha, enters. Nirvivishe, not Nirvishesha. Prabhupada's pranam mantra running through my head. Nirvivishe, he entered. Tvaranvitaha, with great speed. This is the eagerness. When you move towards something with speed, it means you're very eager. There's a nice description that when the 4 Kumaras stepped down from the clouds, from the sky, they entered into Prithu Maharaj's kingdom. It says that he ran forward with great eagerness, enthusiasm to serve them. Just as one runs forward to satisfy his senses. How eager we are to run for, that you see when that clock hits 8:30, devotees are out, so eager for prasadam, or if there's a big feast, so eager, how quickly can we get a plate? Can I skip this line? It's a classic Gurukuli mentality. I remember being in Vrindavan when there's a big festival. If any of you have seen the line, it's quite a line. If you see someone 20 people from the front, that's my ticket. Hey, how's it going? Long time no see, so can I stand here? But we're trained. We're trained to serve. I was in the Bhakta program and we'd sit in the service line and we'd serve and I'd watch the buckets of the best things go empty. And my poor little heart would break every time. Oh, another bucket would come out. Okay, there's still more, there's still more. And one day, the sweet was running out and I was serving the last bucket. And there were only about 5 or 6 of them left. And the devotee called me over. He wanted more. And I lied. I said, oh, all finished, Prabhu. And I, in great embarrassment and confusion, snuck off to a corner and was sticking them in a cup. And as I went to turn the cup, it fell over and dirt got in it. And I'm there hoping no one's seeing me, figuring out how I'm going to wash these sweets off, and it's all crummy. And I've already told the devotee they're not there, and I'm afraid he's going to turn and see me scuffling behind the wall. And then a devotee comes out of the kitchen and says, oh, we have another full bucket of these sweets. And I go and I serve these devotees the sweet, and there's plenty for me also. And I vowed, that day I vowed I will never do that again. I will be overjoyed if I can serve the last bit from a pot. It will be my greatest joy that a Vaishnava can get what I'm serving. That's my pleasure. How did I get here? There was a reason for this story. Oh, hurriedly, moving very quickly to serve one's senses. And so that intention, that desire to take that pot and scuttle off quickly, abscond with it, and come back. Or the 2 thieves, how quickly they wanted to take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu away to steal his jewelry. They're in anxiety. They want to rush this boy away. And they're in so much anxiety, meditating on not being caught, that by the time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has tricked them and they've circled around several times, this place looks familiar. Oh, we're going in circles. And finally, Shachi Mata sees her son and wants to reward these 2 kind gentlemen for bringing him back. Please, sir, wait. And they put Chaitanya Mahaprabhu down and run away. But this mentality of quickly running, so Prithu Maharaj, just as someone runs to satisfy his senses, when he saw the 4 Kumaras stepping down, welcome, welcome. Darshan will open in just a couple minutes. Please find a seat. If someone can get them some mats, you can have a seat. Where are you all coming from?
I'm from California.
From California. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Sure. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. So darshan will open in just a couple minutes here. So when the 4 Kumaras appeared out of the sky, this was the nature of Prithu Maharaj, that he had such devotion, such desire to serve the great Vaishnavas, that he ran forward. How eager he was to serve. Now we see Tvaranvitaha, Nirvivishe Tvaranvitaha. Narada Muni has told Hiranyaksha, you can find the Supreme Lord deep within Garbhodhaka ocean. Hiranyaksha barely was able to hear the last syllable, the ka, before whoosh, dived in, so eager, Tvaranvita, let me go and fight with Krishna. Let me go and attack my mortal enemy. How quickly he desired to achieve success in his mission. And Prabhupada writes, materialistic warmongers are not even afraid to fight with their mightiest enemy, the personality of Godhead, not knowing that soon his body will belong to dogs and jackals. Who is the owner of this body? The discussion is there that, is it one's parents that gave you this body? Is it one's employer? They've paid for your body, they own you. That's why a Brahmin is recommended never to accept a Shudra role. He can't be bought. Once you can be bought, then you don't have your independence. Who was that advisor to the king? The king questioned, was it Chanakya Pandit? Jai Shri Pancha Tattva Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki. Not Chanakya, it was a different advisor. Who is it? Oh, it is Chanakya. He was questioned once by the king about his advice. Okay, he left. If you're not going to take my advice, what am I doing here? Independent. Can't be bought. And the king can't give him enough gold or bribes to stick around. He's independent. He's dependent on a higher principle. Nice position. So the employer, in one sense, owns the body, or does the body belong to the jackals and ants and worms? The body doesn't belong to you. It's on lease. You've rented this for 100 years. Hopefully not that many. And then it goes to the worms. It becomes food for the animals or for the fire. So here, Hiranyaksha, his body is being described as very soon it will be food for the dogs, because his desire is to fight with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it's already lost. Hatvarta kamangs tu. There's a nice verse in the first chapter. It describes that Duryodhana is saying, for my sake, madarte tyakta jivita. That's the line. Madarte, for my sake, tyakta jivita. They're willing to give up their lives. All of these warriors fighting on the side of the Kauravas. Madarte tyakta jivita. For my sake, they're willing to give up their lives. Prabhupada comments, that means they've already given up their lives. When they've committed their lives for Duryodhana's sake, they're already dead. When you commit your life for Krishna, then you're already immortal. It's just a change of where you put that attachment. Yoga yukto. Without connection with Krishna, everything is temporary, useless. There's no lasting, there's no foundation there. When you're connected with Krishna, then material life is finished. So just as Hiranyaksha was so eager to rush forward for his mundane purpose, we should be equally eager to rush forward in devotional service. And we should be inspired by, enthused by the example of those who've dedicated their lives to Krishna consciousness. When we see devotees who've really demonstrated not wasting a moment, who've really demonstrated a taste for Srimad Bhagavatam, that's the Sangha we should seek out. That's an opportunity to make advancement in devotional service. Avoid the Hiranyakshas, go with the Narada Munis. Any comments? Questions? Jai.
I was wondering when Brigadier Muni checked Lord Vishnu, didn't that become the mark of Srivatsa then? Where, and then Mother Lakshmi resided there, and then she went on to like curse the Brahmins to be not so opulent.
Yeah. Lakshmi withdrew opulence from the Brahmanas. No longer. We see that a lot. That's the same thing because we also do the Vrittarasura pastime with Maruti. And Shiva didn't take the laughing, the insult of Chitraketu very seriously. But Parvati her punishment was excessive. Chitraketu himself points it out. He comes down and says, okay, I accept the punishment that's been given, but it was a little excessive. He's quite frank in his dealings. So we see that example, and it's good. The devotee follows suit, just as the Supreme Lord didn't take Bhrigu Muni's offense. We also shouldn't take personal criticism very seriously, but when the other devotees are criticized, when Krishna is criticized, wow, we should take it very seriously to protect the other Vaishnavas, to protect Krishna. So it's a nice example that Lakshmi is setting, nice precedent for protecting the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that he needs our protection, but it's a natural, loving sentiment to want to. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Lakshmi couldn't, Krishna tolerated it, but Lakshmi could not. Yeah. You will all be poor. Thakur.
So where is Krishna in time of war?
Where is Krishna in time of war? Yeah, this is, that story, I told it a couple of classes ago, where Jesus Christ is reviewing the lifetime of the person, and there's two sets of footprints in the sand. The most difficult times, there's only one. Why have you abandoned me, Lord, in my time of greatest need? No, that's the time I picked you up, I carried you. Difficult times in our life are an opportunity to surrender more. We take it as, a time of war, a time of difficulty for what? A time of difficulty for your body. It's not a time of difficulty for the soul. That's not to be callous. That's not to say that, difficulty, not a big deal. No, we should show our support, show our sympathy, show empathy. But if such difficulties happen to us, we should be praying that it gives us the opportunity to surrender more. Times of war, I'm less worried about times of war. I'm more worried about times of opulence. How easy it is to forget Krishna when one is enjoying. Times of war, that's an opportunity. Times of difficulties is when religion, when God consciousness has always spread the fastest. We were just discussing recently that Christianity spread so much more quickly when they were being thrown into the Colosseum to battle with lions, and they were being killed, because their example became something to look up to. While everyone else is scurrying under the rocks like cockroaches, the devotees are powerful and fearless. And people look and they recognize that. They say, this is an example I want to follow. So it's an opportunity to become glorious. The devotee is fearless. What's the worst that you can do to me? You can take my body. Okay. This body is to be used in Krishna service as long as it's viable. Once it's no longer working, okay. On to the next mission, wherever you direct me. Karma bhir brahmyamana nam yatra kvapishvareche. My dear Lord, wherever you move me about, Mangala Charitardanai, Ratirna Krishna Ishka. Please let my auspicious activities, let my charity, let everything bring consciousness of you. And this example of the devotees will be powerful for those of us who are able, and some may not. In a neophyte position, war may be too much. One may be too afraid. One might need to take shelter of those who are stronger. But those who are powerful in Krishna consciousness, who have firm faith in the Supreme Lord, they can become examples. They can become something to look up to. Is that okay?
Well, to make the question who is why is Krishna in time of war in Ukraine? Because
Same thing.
There's many devotees there in distress.
There are many devotees there that are in distress, and there's many devotees there who are taking it as an opportunity to surrender more. It's the same if your mother is passing away and you call out to Krishna, Krishna, please save my mother, and she passes away. Do you lose faith in Krishna? Krishna's not your order supplier. Krishna, I'm hungry, feed me. Krishna, give us, God, this our daily bread. There are 4 types of people who surrender to Krishna. And he says, of those, Jnani, the person in search of knowledge, the person who actually wants to develop a connection with Krishna, not just protect me from this war, protect me from hunger, protect my material body. Krishna may not always protect your material body. That's not God's role, to protect your material body. It's to show you that you're not the body. So specifically, the devotees in Ukraine, there will be those who have firm faith in Krishna, who will be an exemplar for others to follow. And I'm not in any way trying to downplay the situation. It's heavy. It's very difficult. And that's why we have examples in Srimad Bhagawatam, 8th chapter, Queen Kunti. If you read the story, what's happening to her, what's happening to the Pandavas, it's heavier than you could imagine. Really, put yourself in their shoes. Their own family members, their own cousins have exiled them for 14 years. And in the last year, if they're found out, they have to go back into exile for another 14. And while they're in the forest, they're constantly being antagonized. And at the end of it all, they have to fight a battle in which everyone's killed. It's intense. And yet Queen Kunti becomes so glorious because she surrendered to Krishna. Not only did she surrender, but as Maharaj pointed out many times, she says, bring all those difficulties back. I miss those times when I could remember you, when you would show up. Bhavato darshanam yasyat, apunar bhavadarshanam. When I see you, I no longer have to see repeated birth and death. Let me see Krishna more deeply. And to see doesn't mean pratyaksha. It doesn't mean directly by the eyes. Let me chant more purely. Let me hear more purely. Let me read Bhagavatam with more intention. Because by doing that, then I don't have to see repeated birth and death. I never have to see another war again. No.
You were saying about being criticized, and what is criticized isn't taken too serious, but another devotee is criticized, you may act like fire. So, if we're devotees and someone does criticize us indirectly or directly, wherever it may be, and we get upset about that, is that because we're acting on the false ego, or we're just overly conditioned, and is that accurate thing Scripture said?
Yeah. Yeah, when one takes offense, then there's some element of false ego, because they're demonstrating their lack of etiquette. And when their lack of etiquette upsets you, then it means that you're not above it. You're playing on an equal play on the same ball field. You know, the ant is at the hoof, or not hoof, at the base of the elephant, calling it ill names. What's the elephant's okay, scoot along. It's not a big deal. But if the elephant is another ant, and they're on the same playing field, and the ant's saying this, oh, hurts. We're on the same grounds. Rupa Goswami, the Digvijay shows up. You're not a good scholar. I'm the greatest. I will conquer you. You can rip him to shreds. Okay, let me sign. You won. Move along. I need to get back to my bhajan. To allow ourselves to forget Krishna, even to divert our minds from Krishna to deal with something subsidiary, it's a bothersome task. Hey, you're a real jerk, man. It's like, oh, okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Come take prasad. Maybe if I give you a gulab jamun, it'll change your mind. And it's difficult. I have that experience with my wife. It's difficult. When you're it's very hard to hug someone who's screaming like a banshee at you. Very difficult. But if you're able to remain in the mode of goodness, if you're able to rise above that passionate response demonstrated by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they're demonstrating. They're the epitome they're the highest example of passion and ignorance. They're manifesting these qualities. They're as guna avatars. And their response is to respond in that way. If we can rise above those modes and respond in goodness, then you can see that the person criticizing, they're the ones hurting. Oh, you must have hurt your ego on my rock hard ego, my lack of personal. Let me massage your feet. You're the one who's hurting. Yeah.
Who's that? I think you were saying about Brigupati.
Not Brigupati, Brigumuni.
Brigumuni.
Brigupati is Parshuram.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. It was Brigumuni that he kicked Lord Vishnu in the chest. And Lord Vishnu's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, hurt your foot?
It always came across to me as like a jock, You must have hurt your foot on my diamond like rock hard chest. Kind of flexing in a mirror. Of course that's not the intention, but
My titanium.
yeah, my titanium pecs. But one can't be hurt if one remains in a higher mode. It's an opportunity to recognize that the other person is hurting. They're calling out. As the saying, a little boy likes a little girl in school and he starts teasing her. She runs away crying. If she knew the reality of the situation, she'd just give him a hug and they'd both be happy. Yeah, teasing each other, you want to get a response.
Yeah.
My sister and I, always just seeing where you can take it. But if the other person responds more maturely, after all, you're brother, sister. You love each other. So deep down inside, everyone's looking for love. And they're manifesting that in a critical way, or they've been hurt before, so they want to do something to hurt others. And when one's desire for personal gratification, sense gratification, reaches a certain pitch, it becomes warmonging, becomes heavy turbulence. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go. King Vena, really diseased. But Amoga Virya comes from such a powerful line. Ultimately, we're all coming from Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadhan. We all have a connection with Krishna. So when that's awakened, even on a small scale, Prabhupada said something, if 1% of the population became Krishna consciousness, finished. Satya Yuga and beyond, Vaikuntha on this planet. So that's the mission, whatever difficulties we're undergoing. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu inflicting just 2 demons, and the amount of turbulence. Now Prabhupada's saying constant turbulence, so many little demons. Or who was it? Was it you, Nam, describing that now in this time the demons reside in one body? Who was someone gave class result? That was Sharva? Sharva was mentioned. So we have to conquer the demonic influence within ourselves, You have a choice where you tvaranvitaha, where you quickly run. You quickly run to being responsive, you quickly run to service. Anything else? Yukta Vairagya Uchate. Use everything in Krishna's service. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Thank you.